So Greg Lovensheimer, Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of Millcraft, been in the industry about 36 years in total with a variety of companies.
Just can you talk a little bit about your career journey and what has been the most surprising or rewarding to you along the way?
Certainly. I'm blessed to be a third generation, what I call paper maker, if you will. My father worked for Mead back in the day for 44 years, 45 years actually. My grandfather worked for 42 years. Obviously, I grew up as a kid saying I'll never work there a day in my life. Obviously, that didn't happen, and ended up starting as a summer extra crew, trying to help myself get through college, and painting buildings and loading trucks, and did that for a couple of summers, and then found myself, quite honestly, getting moving out to New Jersey and spending time in the pulp and a recycled paperboard plant out in Garwood, New Jersey, of all places, and did that for 3 years, and then came back to Mead and worked my way up from extra crew, stood in line with about 25,000 other people, believe it or not, and got a job and worked my way up and finished my degree. And what was a blessing to me was that at the time, the industry, again, you know, being able to do tuition reimbursement is meaningful, and it helped me basically pull myself up and get a college degree, and then use that actually to help the employers that I worked for at the time. So uh, became a supervisor and finishing converting, and then the next thing you know, I'm assistant superintendent of converting, and then I'm starting up a new facility, and then I'm working into rolling out a project manager for Optivision and part of an SAP rollout. And then when I left Mead, which became Mead Westvaco, NewPage, and Gladfelder, I was director of commercial operations, in charge of the better part of North American operations. And so it was a wonderful opportunity to learn and grow and develop, and just meet some incredible people. And then basically I've been with Millcraft more or less ever since 2013. So coming up on almost 8 years here in September. And the most surprising thing, if you knew me, I mean, I actually hold a patent in printing and ink technology. And if you'd have told me that when I first started out, I'd said you were crazy. Obviously I've met some incredible people along the way, and real genuine people. So yeah, it's probably the most surprising thing. And as an industry, I think we need to be better storytellers. I don't know that anybody's got a better message about sustainability than we do. And just as an industry, both environmentally as well as people wise and career wise, we just got to become better storytellers.
As a leader in your organization, what would you say are the core tenets of Millcraft's mission in relation to the industry that it serves?
Yeah, so at Millcraft, our mission statement is we embrace the opportunity to make a meaningful impact. And the way in which we do that is really we view ourselves as a merchant, not necessarily as a distributor. Meaning, we start with whatever the customer's got in mind, and a distributor really exists because it's an inefficient marketplace. Buyers and sellers don't know each other, and the sellers don't have what the buyer wants and needs, and the exact quantities they need and when they need it. And that's why a distributor really exists. And so our opportunity is really been around finding ways to partner with folks, and really partner with core sustainable suppliers that we can tell their message, and then aligning it with what the customers really need. And we've really taken on this role of being an industry advocate and trying to help our customers really understand and read the tea leaves. And we do it with what we call these kind of industry updates that we've been doing, so that we can help our customers understand where the industry's headed, so that they can be well positioned and they understand cause and effect relationships, and maybe they can skate ahead of the puck and get there before anybody else does, and maybe does it offer them a competitive advantage, and therefore us a competitive advantage, and our partners, because we're all kind of moving to where things will ultimately be anyway.
And How is Millcraft unique in its approach to paper and packaging products and technology?
Yeah, so I think, because we're a fourth generation family owned and operated, more importantly, distributor, uh, we're kind of based in the Midwest. And so those core values of family really resonate. And we truly view ourselves, especially from the person who's loading the trucks to working in our stores to the top of the house, we all view ourselves as a family, and no one person's role is more or less important than the other. We all have a role to play. We all have an instrument to play in the orchestra, and so we maybe take it a little differently, that we're very flat as well. And the fact that when we sit in front of a customer, it's generally us and the sales rep, and you're talking potentially to the top of the house. And that we tend to make decisions as close to the customer as possible. We've embraced lean management over the years. We have a daily, I mean, people get amazed that we have a daily call where we bring all of our operations together in terms of the operations manager, the customer service manager, key salespeople, our supply chain folks. And we talk about every day how we performed yesterday and where we let customers down and what we're going to do to make sure it never happens again. And so trying to reinforce that learning so that maybe we're going to have mistakes, but we have them smaller, we deal with them faster, and ultimately the customer's perception is that these guys may not have it perfect, but they've got their hands on it and they're able to deliver. We have a customer satisfaction index where we measure, and again, nothing is right, nothing is absolute, but I liken it to it's a blood pressure check. What's the difference between 110 over 80 and 110 over 79? Not much, but it's general indicative, right? And so you can tell when the number goes up and down. The same way with our CSI, where we can measure, did we have what the customer wanted when they wanted it and the quantity they wanted it, and did we deliver it on time and at the price point and at the quality level that the customer wanted. If any of those things break down, and that includes our mill partners, our suppliers, if it's a quality defect, it's a ding against us. And sometimes our employees get upset because they say, well, that was the mill's fault. Well, the customer really doesn't care. To them, it's their relationship is with Millcraft, and they expect Millcraft to be their advocate with the supply chain partner. And so I know that that's very different, because when I sit down in front of customers and we can pull up the data and show them, this is what we believe your customer satisfaction score is. Is this, do you agree with this, or do you have data that either supports or refutes what we got here? And time and time again, we get told, you're the only one that can ever show us data. You're the only one that, you may be more critical on yourself than we are, because we can't measure some of the stuff you're measuring.
Can you talk a little bit about freight challenges relative to Millcraft's business and I guess the industry as a whole as well?
Yeah, and it's in general, the general rule of thumb is the paper mills are always in the north, and the customers are in the south, and so there's always freight, whether it's over the road carriers or rail involved. Freight for our industry can be a blessing and a curse, at least from a distributor's perspective. Meaning, on the inbound side, it's definitely painful right now because railroads are struggling. If you've got an import program, you better know your port of call that you're coming in, whether it's coming in out of Long Beach or it's coming out of Newark or Jacksonville or wherever, and understanding what those challenges are, as well as over the road carriers. And so we've tried to make sure that we're partnering with probably fewer mills, but being more meaningful to fewer folks. Because if you carry everything, then you're important to no one. Because everyone has a little bit of piece of your business. Whereas if you're fully invested with somebody, hopefully you've got a partnership that matters. So on the inbound side, it's absolutely a challenge. We've tried to, but I also think where the opportunity gets created is, if you're a stocking merchant, this is exactly your time to shine, because this is why you carry stock, and this is why customers have you in their supply chain, is because you're able to be that shock absorber to the supply chain challenges. And if you've got it in stock, yeah, it may be an extra week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 10 weeks, but if you've got it on the stock, you're able to buffer the customer from the real, what's really going on in the industry. And then on the outbound side, if you've got we're blessed enough that we have our own operating fleet. So we have about 40 tractor trailers, Sprinter vans running around in our network. And so freight is a variable that gets taken off the table when we partner with customers. And so that's where it's a blessing for us, because whereas if someone doesn't have an invested footprint and they're trying to broker something through an LTL carrier, man, that market right now is a dog's breakfast, and it just comes with a lot of uncertainty and inconsistency. And it's really depending on how you look at it and say it is what it is, but how do you use what you've got and make the most out of it.
My last question for you is, in what ways does Millcraft innovate within the paper and packaging supply chain? And I know we talked a little bit about, your dedication to customer service feedback, integrating that and making sure that it helps, smooth over any kinks in the supply chain. But can you speak to a little bit more about any innovation?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and maybe one of the opportunities is because I came to a distributor from the mill side, I had a supplier background. So at least I had a sense in terms of the way mills think and operate and structure, and that they've all got a margin stack, and they're looking to make decisions based on various mills based on their own financial analysis. And so, as part of Millcraft, what we've really tried to do is help educate our sales team and then ultimately our customers in terms of understanding the business sense of why a supplier would do what they do, and really these state of the industry updates, and really helping folks understand that these mills have strategic options to what they do with their capital dollars, and the folks need to be thinking about what's in a Domtar's best interest, or an IP's best interest, or a Verso, Sappi, because they have options, and capital dollars tend to go where they get treated best, and that making sure that customers understand that, because we've all done a wonderful job over the years of conditioning customers, especially in the graphics paper space, of giving them what they want when they want it next day, and that at a price point that because there's been so much excess supply, and it's a challenge right now, and the fact that the pendulum is swinging, and so being able to really bring home this view of you got to partner, and you got to be chasing programs, not a price, and find a way to bundle your business. I don't want your order, I want to be your partner, and really trying to change the conversation with customers about that, because there are some organizations that they're purchasing agent centric, buyer centric, and they're just measured on the lowest cost of goods sold coming in the door, versus maybe especially with all the challenges we all face right now, is it better to say you were able to keep your presses running, or you were able to keep your operations running because you had what you needed in terms of packaging supplies coming in the door, or you had the opportunity to ebb and flow and take that order that really came back. The other thing we've launched, we have a Nighthawk system, where we share inventory, and it's very different. Some people will have a hub and spoke system, they absolutely do, but we're a little different in the fact that we believe a dollar invested for one is a dollar invested for all. Meaning, if I'm a customer in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I place an order and that product is setting in Louisville, we can make that stuff move next day and it delivers, and the customer doesn't know whether it came off of Louisville's floor, Columbus's floor, Detroit's floor, or Ann Arbor's floor. They just know it showed up tomorrow by 9 a.m. And so we're able to really leverage that supply chain relationship. And then coming out of COVID, one of the things we understood was everybody was going to tighten the belt buckle and work on kind of compressing working capital. And so we launched what we call a $100 in stock guarantee, meaning we looked at what are the core items that the graphics paper partners really need, and let's make sure we're in stock in those items. And if we're not, we're going to give you $100 credit, regardless of what the size of your order was. So you may have a $50 order that you placed, and if we're out of stock and we can't deliver it tomorrow, you get $100 credit. And really what that drove was, as the economy starts to reopen and customers know they need to they need to win that piece of business, so they know they can depend on Millcraft because we guarantee we've got it in stock because of this kind of elaborate network that we built. We have about 300 items in the program right now. And uh, what's rewarding, I guess, is when suppliers say, "Hey, I want to be. What does it take for my products to get a part of that lineup?" Because we can see where that really adds value. Because people have got to know and trust that you got it on the floor, so I can take that flyer of an opportunity and hopefully land that business and you know you know make an impact in our business today. So, one of the other things that I think is truly unique about Millcraft, and again, this comes back to being family owned and operated, is our buy and give program. So, commodity 92 bright cut size copy paper is like bottled water. Everybody has it, and it's really a price point play. And what we've tried to do is come up with a program whereby customers can vote with their pocketbook to help support a charity. And this all stems from my boss, the president of Millcraft, is Travis Malacher. And it's a great story in terms of, when his son was born, Jake was born, he had a congenital heart defect. And so here's, his firstborn son, and day one, he basically has to turn him over to the doctors and say, I can't fix this. Right. And so the folks at the Cleveland Clinic, took Jake and helped him and did open heart surgery on him and really made a meaningful impact in Jake's life and the Malakers family's life. And over the years he's had other surgeries and whatnot. Jake's a wonderful kid now. He's actually high school senior. He's going to go off and join the ROTC at the University of South Carolina in the fall. And so, but coming out of that, what Travis realized was there's more to life than beyond paper and packaging, and that we really do need to make a meaningful impact in the communities in which we operate. And so that's what spawned Buy and Give, where we want to be able to give back to the communities in which we operate. And so we're on pace to give away $1 million over the course of 10 years. So about a little over $100,000 every year we give away to charities, and it's the charities that are important to our team members in their location. So in Louisville, it's Blessings in a Backpack. In Columbus, it's Nationwide Children's Hospital, and so everyone can choose the charity that matters most, and then it allows you to have a conversation that's very different. And quite candidly, our Dayton organization, they're not the biggest division, but they've got the biggest heart because they give away the most dollars to charity. And it's just year in and year out. And it's because they truly believe they're doing good. They're not just selling paper, they're selling that charity and the impact that it can have on the communities in which they operate.